We think of ourselves as the peak of human development, the most advanced, the most capable, the most evolved version of our species. But if you put a modern human next to the humans who lived 10,000 years ago, you would lose. Not metaphorically, physically. They were stronger, faster, more resilient, and built better than almost anyone alive today. And we did this to ourselves. When forensic anthropologists dig up pre-agricultural human skeletons, the first thing they notice is the bone density. It's extraordinary. The cortical bone, the hard outer shell that gives your skeleton its structural strength, is measurably thicker in hunter-gatherer remains than in modern humans. Not by a little, by a lot. Researchers studying skeletal remains from ancient European populations found that the leg bones of hunter-gatherers had mechanical strength equivalent to that of modern elite cross-country runners. And these weren't athletes. These were just people, living their lives. Your skeleton tells the story of how you use your body. Bone responds to stress by growing denser, stronger, more reinforced. When you stop stressing it, it thins. When archaeologists look at the bones of our ancestors, they see a body that was under constant, daily, total physical demand. When they look at ours, they see something else entirely. In 2016, a study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences compared the bone strength of modern humans to that of ancient hunter-gatherers and early agriculturalists. The results were not subtle. Modern human leg bones were significantly weaker than those of hunter-gatherers from the same geographic region. We weren't just softer than our ancient ancestors. We were softer than humans who had already been farming for thousands of years. The decline didn't stop. It kept going. And it's still going now. Researchers at the University of Bristol found that modern human skeletons have become so lightly built that they fall outside the normal range of variation for the entire genus Homo. Not just weaker than ancient humans, weaker than any humans we have ever found. Then there's grip strength. It sounds like a small thing. It isn't. Grip strength is one of the most reliable single predictors of overall physical health, cardiovascular function, and longevity that scientists have ever identified. And ours is collapsing. A study published in the Journal of Hand Surgery found that between 1985 and 2016, average grip strength in American men dropped significantly. The researchers weren't measuring elite athletes against couch potatoes. They were measuring ordinary people against ordinary people, one generation apart. And the drop was measurable, consistent, and continuing. Look at teeth. Before agriculture, human teeth were remarkably healthy. Cavities were rare, misalignment was rare. Impacted wisdom teeth were virtually non-existent. The archaeological record is clear on this. Hunter-gatherer skulls show teeth that are well-spaced, well-worn, and structurally sound. Then agriculture arrives and the picture changes almost immediately. Cavities explode. Enamel thins, jaws shrink. Teeth start crowding each other for space. Your wisdom teeth are impacted because your jaw is too small for them. Your jaw is too small because you grew up eating food that required almost no chewing. The human jaw responds to mechanical load the same way bone does. Stress it, it grows. Don't stress it, it doesn't. For hundreds of thousands of years, every meal required sustained, forceful chewing. Roots, raw meat, fibrous plants, tough seeds. Your jaw grew into the work it was given. We stopped giving it work, and it stopped growing to meet demands that never came. In the 1980s, a biological anthropologist named Timothy Bromage was examining the facial bones of early hominid skulls when he noticed something that would take decades to fully understand. The bone surfaces told a story of constant mechanical stress, daily, repetitive, total body load. Not just in the legs, not just in the arms, in the face, in the jaw, in the tiny bones of the inner ear. The entire skeleton, from top to bottom, was shaped by demand. Bromage spent years arguing that modern humans aren't just less active than our ancestors. We are structurally, measurably, skeletally different because of it. The bones don't lie. And it wasn't just the face, the whole body was shrinking. Height tells the same story. At the end of the Paleolithic era, the average European man stood around 5 feet 10 inches tall. Then agriculture arrived. And within a few thousand years, average male height had dropped to around 5 feet 5 inches. A 5-inch collapse. In evolutionary time, that's instantaneous. It took us until the 20th century with modern nutrition and medicine to recover back to where we started. We spent roughly 10,000 years shorter than our hunter-gatherer ancestors, and we're only now catching up. Not because we got better, because we finally started eating enough of the right things again. So what happened? One event, one transition, one moment in human history that changed the physical trajectory of our species more than anything before or since. Agriculture. About 10,000 years ago, humans in multiple locations across the world independently made the same shift. They stopped moving. They settled down. They started growing crops. And it looked like progress. It was in many ways, but the human body paid a price that the history books almost never mention. Hunter-gatherers ate somewhere between 100 and 200 different plant and animal species throughout the year. Their diet shifted with the seasons, tracking a constantly rotating variety of nutrients, proteins, and compounds. Early farmers ate maybe 3 or 4 crops: wheat, barley, rice, corn. Calories went up, nutrition went down. Skeletal remains from the earliest farming communities show the evidence written directly into the bone. Lesions from nutritional deficiencies, stunted growth, thinner cortical walls, teeth riddled with cavities from the sudden flood of starch. The bodies knew something had changed. But here's where it gets complicated, because the story isn't simply that agriculture ruined us. Before agriculture, roughly 40% of children died before the age of 5. Infection, injury, bad luck. Life was short and frequently brutal. Agriculture meant more food, more predictably in more places. It fed more people. It kept more children alive. It built the surplus that eventually became cities, writing, medicine, and everything else. The physical decline was real. And the trade-off was also real. We didn't accidentally stumble into weakness. We traded physical capability for survival. We traded the strongest version of our bodies for the largest number of bodies. And for most of human history, given the alternative, that was probably the right call. But here's what nobody tells you about that trade. Your body doesn't know it happened. Your skeleton is still running the same ancient software. It still responds to load by growing stronger. It still responds to idleness by growing thin. Your jaw still needs resistance to develop properly. Your bones still need impact to stay dense. Your cardiovascular system still expects you to move for hours every single day. The hardware hasn't changed, only the environment has. The physical capacity your ancestors carried in their bones, the density, the strength, the structural resilience that took hundreds of thousands of years to build, is still coded into your biology. It didn't disappear. It's waiting. But most of us will never ask it to show up. We live in temperature-controlled rooms. We sit in chairs designed to remove all load from our bodies. We eat food that requires almost no effort to consume. We have engineered physical demand almost entirely out of daily life. And our skeletons are responding exactly the way biology predicts they would. They are becoming the lightest, thinnest, weakest human bones ever recorded. Not because something went wrong, because nothing is being asked of them. Our ancestors didn't train for this. They didn't optimize, periodize, or track their recovery. They just lived in a world that asked everything of their bodies every single day without negotiation. And their bones remembered every single thing that was asked. Ours are remembering too. The question isn't whether the capacity is still there. It is. The question is whether we'll ever live in a way that asks for it again. And most of us already know the answer.